And now,
Right.
as far as I can see, the Rortian reading of you is within a framework in which you can have relations, if you like, and you can have normatively tinged things to say, if you like, but you can't have the two of those together in something that you can say in a single breath. They've got to come apart. So at the ultimate points of semantical anchorage of language too, the objects, ultimate points of semantical anchorage only because they're in this context of interpretability of whole utterances. The Rortian reading of you says, well, Davidson is talking about merely causal linkages. The object emits causal efficacy, and the end result of this emitting of causal efficacy is that the word comes out of some mouth, no doubt in a context with a whole bunch of other words, but don't think about that, because we're not talking normative talk here, we're talking relational talk. The normative talk is somewhere else in the picture, and cannot be integrated into one saying with the relational talk. That strikes me as profoundly point missing. I mean, it strikes me as really fundamental to a Davidsonian conception of how language hooks onto the world. Dangerous phraseology, but I think you can make it all right.
Mm-hmm.
To say it hooks onto the world by way of word-thing relations that are, while perfectly good relations, shot through with the normativity of rationality.
Well,
that's not a question, but it's a sort of invitation to you to, I guess, say yes, or
yeah,
object to.
Well, there's one implication of the way you've put things that I might withdraw from a bit, though I don't think in a way that that affects your main point now, anyway. I don't think that, I mean, since what we're keeping track of ultimately is how people use sentences to communicate and what makes for their truth or falsity, I don't think that requires that we map expressions in the language onto entities in any one way. But some way we must, and all of those ways have to capture the pattern of rationality. Because thoughts, whether beliefs or doubts or intentions or meanings, by their nature have rational relations to each other. I mean, the minute we're talking about thoughts of any sort or the expression of thoughts, we're in the realm of rationality and the norms of rationality. I mean, you can't talk about rationality without accepting the fact that this is a normative area. So, of course, just plain causality as it operates in the inanimate world is not going to touch it. I don't mean it doesn't touch it. I mean, of course, causality is playing its role here, but it can't explain the normativity.
Excellent. Not that I think the Salesians think that it can, but the thing that strikes me as defective in Salazian thinking and not defective in Davidsonian thinking is this inability to combine causal relations with normative tinging into something that's visibly one and the same concept, and the concept of satisfaction is going to be like that in Davidsonian thinking.
What you say,
I think Sellers fixes it, but there's no such thing as a concept of something that's a relation, but intelligible only in a normative frame. If it's a relation, then it's intelligible only in, and now we'll have to say a merely causal frame. It's going to be the kind of causation that's operative in inanimate nature.
Now I don't know Sellers anywhere near as well as you do, though I did. One thing that he wrote, or a certain aspect of it anyway, stuck in my mind forever, and of course that's the idea that there is no conceptless given. I've always known I owed that to reading Sellers, but I don't remember at all. In fact, you surprise me when you tell me that he thought somehow the realm of causality and the realm of rationality exclude each other. That sounds as if it goes back to Wittgenstein's. I don't mean back because I guess they were contemporaries roughly. But Wittgenstein did think that, at least in the area, yes, in psychology, generally causality had no role. You wouldn't say one.
Yeah, I'm not sure about Wittgenstein, but the little red books your Actions, Reasons and Causes was directed against, they certainly had their thinking shaped like this, and I take it that was
yes.
That's the main point of Actions, Reasons and Causes.
That's right, exactly.
That's wrong. I mean, we can put these two conceptual framings together and have them frame some single concepts. Cause, reason.
Action is one place where we must put them together, and perception is clearly another. Memory is another. Causality and rationality are wed to each other in all of these areas that have to do with the interaction between people and the world.
Okay, I'm conscious of advancing into more and more ticklish areas. I said something a while back, actually, that I meant to be tendentious, and you let it pass. It was surely a cheat on my part, but I'll get it back and make it explicit.